Designing a secure AWS VPC network involves implementing best practices to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your resources. In this module, we are going to have a detailed discussion on the best practices and steps for creating and configuring an AWS VPC, including subnets, route tables, and security groups. If you find this video valuable, kindly subscribe to stay informed about our upcoming content. Best practices for designing a secure AWS VPC network. 1. Isolation and segmentation. Use multiple availability zones, AZs, for fault tolerance. Divide the VPC into multiple subnets for isolation. Public subnets for resources that need direct internet access and private subnets for back-end services. 2. IP addressing. Plan your IP address space carefully. Consider future growth and avoid IP range overlaps. Leverage Amazon's provided IP range recommendations or use your own CIDR blocks. 3. Route tables. Create separate route tables for public and private subnets. Use a default route pointing to an Internet Gateway IGEW in the public route table for Internet access in public subnets. 4. Internet Gateway IGEW and NAT Gateway. Attach an IGW to the VPC for Internet-bound traffic from public subnets. Use NAT gateways for outbound Internet traffic from private subnets. 5. Security groups. Implement the principle of least privilege for security groups. Restrict incoming traffic to only necessary ports and sources. Use separate security groups for different types of resources. 6. Network Access Control Lists, NACLs. NACLs act as stateless firewalls for subnets. Define rules carefully, allowing only required traffic. Be cautious with NACLs as they apply to all resources in a subnet. 7. VPC flow logs. Enable VPC flow logs for monitoring and analyzing network traffic. Use CloudWatch logs for centralized log storage and analysis. 8. VPN and Direct Connect. Establish VPN connections for secure communication between on-premises networks and the VPC. Direct Connect provides dedicated, high-bandwidth connections for increased performance. 9. Naming conventions and tagging. Implement clear naming conventions for resources. Use tags for resource grouping, tracking costs, and applying automation. Steps to create and configure an AWS VPC. The steps involved in creating and configuring an AWS VPC are crucial for establishing a secure, scalable, and well-organized cloud infrastructure that aligns with business needs and complies with industry standards. The subsequent procedures guide the establishment and configuration of an AWS Virtual Private Cloud VPC. 1. Access AWS Console. Log into the AWS Management Console. 2. Navigate to VPC Dashboard. Open the VPC dashboard from the AWS Management Console. 3. Create VPC. Click on Create VPC and specify the CIDR block for your VPC. 4. Create subnets. Create public and private subnets within your VPC. Assign appropriate CIDR blocks. 5. Configure route tables. Create separate route tables for public and private subnets. Add routes for Internet access in the public route table. 6. Attach Internet Gateway. Create and attach an Internet Gateway to enable Internet access for public subnets. 7. Configure security groups. Create security groups for different resource types. Define inbound and outbound rules based on security requirements. 8. Set up network ACLs. Optionally, configure network ACLs for additional network-level security. 9. Allocate elastic IPs and set up NAT gateways. Allocate elastic IPs and create NAT gateways for outbound Internet traffic from private subnets. 10. Configure VPN or Direct Connect. Set up VPN connections or direct connect if required for on-premises connectivity. 11. Enable flow logs. Enable VPC flow logs for enhanced visibility into network traffic. 12. Naming and tagging. Follow naming conventions and apply tags for better resource management. 13. Review and confirm. Review your configuration and make any necessary adjustments before finalizing. 14. Monitor and update. Regularly monitor the VPC, update security groups, and adjust configurations based on changing requirements. By following these best practices and steps, you can design and implement a secure and well-architected AWS VPC network. In the next training module, we are going to discuss the importance of security in a VPC and how to secure a VPC using security groups and network ACLs. Subscribe to this channel if you find this material helpful.